Margot Hemingway was a fashion model from the 70s. She appeared on covers of magazines including Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmopolitan, and Time. I remember seeing Margot on TV when I was a child. She was beautiful. I didn't know much about her at that time, but I always remembered her. Margot Louise Hemingway was born February 16, 1954, in Portland, Oregon. She's the second of three daughters. Her mother and father was Byra Louise and Jack Hemingway. She had two sisters, actress Mariel Hemingway and Joan. When she was a child, the family relocated from Oregon to Cuba, where her grandfather lived. Then they went to San Francisco and later to Idaho. There they lived on her grandfather's farm in Ketchum. The family took trips each summer back to Oregon with the daughter's godmother, who owned a farm in Salem. She attended the Caitlin Gable School in Portland for her junior year. Since her teenage years, Margot had issues with alcoholism, epilepsy, bulimia, and depression, allegedly. She also had dyslexia. I read that back in 1990, Margot reported that she had been sexually abused by her godfather. In her late teens, Margot dropped out of high school and went looking for success. She tagged along on a publicity trip to New York, where she was spotted by entrepreneur Errol Wetson at the Plaza Hotel in the 70s. He pursued her and showered her with roses. He was a successful businessman and he was 15 years older than Margot. Margot was swept off her feet, and after 3 months back west, she flew to New York to be with him. He took her to stay with his friend artist Zachary Selleck. Her and Zachary became good friends. He said on her Hollywood story that Errol asked him to introduce her to all of the business and social networks that he knew, particularly in Manhattan at that time. He said she took them off guard, like, who is this girl Margot Hemingway? She was allegedly called fat, her eyebrows were so thick, and it was just negative, negative. He said Margot was naive. She was just out to have a good time, and whatever was going to be fun, she was going to do. They did an audio reenactment where Margot said when she got to New York and started modeling, they got mad because she wouldn't take off 40 pounds. She said, just take me as I am. Zachary said he called Wilhelmina Models. They were the first to sign her on. He said no one else wanted to take her. That was until Zachary and Errol's networking brought Margot to the attention of two of the fashion world's biggest people, designer Halston and photographer Francesco Scovullo. Francesco said she was fabulous. He's never seen a smile like that. She was incredible. He said he was under contract with Vogue at the time, and he had to run to Vogue to tell them about Margot Hemingway. And yeah, she really did have a beautiful smile. Margot landed her first big interview with Women's Wear Daily. Women's Wear Daily ran Margot's story on the front and back covers. Her name started making its way around town, and other models like Beverly Johnson heard her name. Beverly said that she was working for Francesco Scavullo, and there was a lot of noise about Margot and this great beauty that is coming into the business. Margot became a successful model. She got $1 million contract with Fabergé as the spokesmodel for Babe Perfume in the 1970s. This was the first $1 million contract ever awarded to a fashion model. She became the highest paid model in history. She graced a number of top magazines. The September 1st, 1975 cover issue of Vogue called Margot New York's new supermodel. In June of 1975, Margot and Errol decided to get married. Despite the reservations, the Hemingways accepted the union and flew to Paris for the wedding. It was held at the Ritz Hotel. They honeymooned on the Riviera until the time came for her to return to New York and start earning that million. In later months, the fabulous fragrance was launched internationally. She also became an actress. In 1975, she played the lead role in the movie Lipstick. Her sister Marielle was also in the movie. Millions of dollars was spent to promote the film. Margaux was under a lot of pressure. The film was released in 1976. The film ended up flopping. The critics wrote not good reviews. The movie had Anne Bancroft in it, so they had high expectations. Margaux could not live up to these expectations. She was not trained for this. She was new to acting. However, her sister Marielle got a good review about her acting. After Lipstick, she resumed her work with Fabergé. The perfume sales were skyrocketing. It made $13 million the first year alone. Margaux would hang out at a popular club called Studio 54. Studio 54 had earned a reputation for drugs. Allegedly, Margaux was doing a lot of partying. Margaux's insecurities drove her deeper and deeper into drinking. This took a toll on their marriage, and she and her husband, Errol Wetson, divorced. She later met Bernard Foucher, and they got married in 1979. Margaux's Babe contract had ended, and she needed a new source of income. She went back into Hollywood and did the movie Killerfish in 1979. She later did They Call Me Bruce, Over the Brooklyn Bridge, Killing Machine, Inner Sanctum, and more. Margaux, she went to Australia for a holiday ski vacation. She fell and cracked her pelvic bone and several vertebrae and was rushed into emergency surgery. Her friend Zachary said she called him from the hospital in Switzerland. He said she started using prescription drugs and painkillers and was drinking in the hospital. For the next 6 weeks, she was bedridden in her friend's London apartment, becoming more and more bloated with drinks. Divorce proceedings was also going on with Bernard. It was a sad time for her. On top of her personal issues, the IRS said she owed $900,000 in back taxes. Her only source of income was foreign films and commercials. She later moved back to New York. She had gained weight as well. Margaux would get alcoholic-related seizures, allegedly. One day, she nearly bit off her tongue. Margaux checked into the Betty Ford Clinic, the Betty Ford Center, to get help. In January 1988, 28 days after she checked in, Margaux checked out of the Betty Ford Center, sober. She launched a fitness regimen. She was determined to lose her excess weight. Margaux was doing better. She stopped drinking and her life was back on track. She started talking openly about her alcoholism and her bulimia. Her talking about it helped other people. She appeared on the cover of Playboy in 1990 and asked the magazine to hire her friend Selleck as the creative director for her cover story. It was shot in Belize. To keep supporting herself, she took roles in several B movies. Margaux landed an extraordinary role. She was set to host an outdoor adventure series called Wild Guide on the Discovery Channel. It was about endangered species. She was very excited about it. Wild Guide producer Ray Donahue was thrilled with his new show host, Margaux. He said she told him that this is what she was looking for. This is a type of show she really wants to do. Margaux's medical problem was still a challenge. Ray said they did a great segment in Florida with her and the manatees, but Margaux got really sick. He said she got shivers and had a mild epileptic seizure. He said she was on a lot of medication, and the medication apparently was not mixing well with other medications. Her agent, Graham Kay, said she said it made her feel less than human, that she would be in conversations and all of a sudden she would veer off and lose track of what was going on, and that was the result of the medication. Margaux found a studio apartment in LA, just steps from the sand of Santa Monica Beach. The tenants below kept late hours, and there was friction between Margaux and her landlady. Soon, Margaux was asked to leave. On Thursday, June 27, 1996, Margaux joined her friends at a Hollywood night spot. Her friend Linda Livingston said she came to hear Millie sing, and Millie handed her the mic, and she sang. She was looking beautiful. She was incredible. Linda said she spent the night with her that night. Margaux woke up at around 7 a.m. and left for a hike in the mountains. Margaux experienced highs and lows. She was excited about her new projects, but her medical problems was an issue. Her friend Gigi said she called Margaux on Saturday and left 2 messages because she was upset about having to find a new apartment. They said she had put down money on another apartment. On July 1st, her friend Judy drove over to Margaux's apartment. When no one answered, she called a worker to break in, where Margaux's body was found. The police had said there was no evidence of foul play and no evidence that she took her own life. Toxicology tests were ordered. They later ruled that she took her own life, but a lot of people don't believe she did that. They think it was just an accident. Author Dr. Brian Allman said that when a Hemingway dies early, people want to believe that they basically took their own life. They don't want to believe it was natural causes or an accidental death. It is said that her grandfather Ernest had taken his own life, and there was a family history of that. Margaux was cremated, and her ashes were buried during a private memorial service in Ketchum. There was a second funeral service for her friends that was held at the Agape Church in LA, and the memorial fund was set up with the Epilepsy Society. Margaux is missed. She was a beautiful person inside and out. She was humble and down to earth. I can tell that she could make anybody comfortable talking to her because of her spirit and her beautiful smile. Rest in peace, Margaux Hemingway.